Today we're working on this little supercar. Now it might be small in size, but when it comes to clear coat, every mistake shows up big. Clear coat is the final layer that gives your car that deep gloss and protects the base coat. But if you spray it wrong, you'll end up with runs, orange peel, or dry spray. And trust me, even on a high-end car like this, those mistakes stand out instantly. In this video, I'm going to break down the 3 most common mistakes people make when spraying clear coat, and more importantly, how to avoid them. Whether you're painting your first project at home or trying to step up your skills, these tips can save you hours of sanding and polishing later. Clear coat isn't just about making the car shiny, it's about technique, control, and understanding how your spray gun lays down product. Small adjustments in speed, distance, and overlap can mean the difference between a glassy finish and a nightmare. So let's dive in. Here are the 3 spraying mistakes that can completely ruin your clear coat and how to fix them. We already applied the primer off camera, and as you can see, this car had a few small imperfections that needed to be covered. Primer is important because it not only gives us a smooth surface to work on, but it also helps with adhesion between the base coat and the metal underneath. Without a good primer layer, even the best clear coat won't hold up. Now I want to hear from you. What's the trickiest part of applying primer you've struggled with? Drop your answers in the comments and let's see who's had the funniest or most challenging primer story. We also went ahead and applied the base coat off camera. And this is where the real color of the car comes to life. The base coat is responsible for the actual shade you see, whether it's metallic, solid, or pearl. What's important to understand is that the base coat on its own doesn't have gloss or protection. It's just the color layer. That's why coverage and consistency here are critical. You want to apply it evenly with proper overlap to avoid patchy areas or color differences across the panels. Another key thing is metallic control. If you don't keep your passes uniform, metallics and pearls can lay unevenly, creating stripes or blotches under the clear. The base coat also needs to be allowed to flash off properly before clear coat, so the solvents escape. If you rush this step, you can trap solvents, which later causes clear coat problems like wrinkling or dieback. So while it may look finished right now, this is really just the foundation that the clear coat is going to lock in and protect. All right, now it's time for the first pass of clear coat. I'm going to take it slow here because the first layer is all about laying down a smooth foundation. Think of it like tucking in the sheets on a freshly made bed. Too fast and you get runs. Too slow and the finish dries uneven. You want to keep the gun moving at a steady pace, about 4 to 6 inches from the panel, with a good overlap on each pass. This first layer isn't about building thickness yet. It's about wetting the surface evenly and sealing in that base coat we applied earlier. And remember, even small imperfections in your pass can show up later, so focus on smooth, consistent strokes. Now here's a fun little game while you're watching me. Every time I mention the word overlap, try to count it in your head. Whoever gets the number right in the comments gets a virtual high five from me. It's silly, but it keeps you sharp, just like spraying itself. Also, notice how I'm watching the edges and corners closely. These are tricky areas where runs like to hide, so a light, careful pass is better than a heavy-handed one. And don't forget the flash time. You want to let the solvents start evaporating before the next coat. If you rush it, you're asking for orange peel or dry spray. So for this first pass, it's all about patience, control, and focus. Think of it as the warm-up lap before the real race of glossy perfection. And yes, a little humor always helps, because if you're not enjoying spraying, you're missing half the fun. Now that the first coat is down, we're going to let it flash off. This is the stage where the solvents start to evaporate and the clear coat begins to set. Don't rush it. Giving it a proper flash time prevents runs, wrinkling, or trapping moisture under the next coat. While we wait, notice how the surface starts to even out and the gloss begins to develop. Patience here makes the next pass much smoother and helps us get that perfect glassy finish. Now we're on the second pass of clear coat. This layer is where we start building depth and gloss, but it's also where mistakes from the first pass can become noticeable, so pay close attention. First, maintain a steady distance, about 4 to 6 inches from the panel, and keep your gun moving at a consistent speed. Too close, and you risk runs. Too far, and you'll get dry spray. Remember, overlap is key. About 70% is ideal to ensure an even coat without streaks or gaps. As you spray, watch the edges and corners carefully. They're tricky spots where clear coat tends to pool, which can cause sags if you're heavy-handed. Light, controlled passes make all the difference here. Also, keep an eye on flash time between sections. Even during this pass, some areas will dry slightly faster than others, so adjust your speed accordingly. Educational tip: the second pass is where you start refining the surface. Any imperfections like tiny orange peel or uneven coverage can usually be corrected with careful sanding later. But the better your second pass, the less work you'll have to do afterward. Finally, a little trick. Try to maintain a smooth, rhythmic motion, almost like you're painting a picture. It keeps the coating even, avoids start-stop marks, and helps the clear lay down perfectly for that mirror-like finish. Now that the second coat is applied, we'll let it flash off for a bit. This short pause allows the solvents to start evaporating and the surface to settle evenly. Giving it just enough time here helps prevent runs or dry spots and ensures the next pass will lay down smoothly. Keep an eye on the surface. It's already starting to gain depth and shine. Now we're on the third and final pass of clear coat. This layer is all about building gloss and achieving that perfectly smooth, mirror-like finish. Unlike the first two passes, this one is less about coverage and more about finesse and refinement. Keep your gun moving steadily, maintaining that 4 to 6 inch distance and consistent overlap. Any unevenness here will show in the final finish, so light, controlled strokes are essential. Focus on edges and corners. They're where runs or pooling often happen, and a careful hand here makes all the difference. One educational tip: the third pass helps eliminate minor imperfections from the previous layers. If you notice any tiny texture or slight orange peel, this is the time to smooth it out without adding too much thickness. Avoid overloading the panel. Thickness can cause sagging or solvent popping later. Also, watch the flash time as you go. Even during this final coat, letting each section set for a few seconds before moving on prevents dry spray and helps the clear coat flow evenly. Think of it like layering a fine glaze. Patience, rhythm, and control are the keys to that high-gloss, flawless finish. By the end of this pass, the car should already be looking deep, shiny, and glass-like, ready for any minor corrections and polishing once it cures.